Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News TV. Today, the news is Sri Lanka crisis as we know it. How the Sri Lanka crisis and how Sri Lanka is facing now. And the PM resigns and situation is worsened. So we can understand. And President, according to sources, he has left the country. So this is a really such situation nobody can cope with. So you can understand how country is going now. So how why the Sri Lanka situation is going grim now, and who is the main culprit? I think the Rajpaksa family is the main who just ruined the country like anything, destroy the country like anything. So we should take the note on that, and everybody should understand how his country is going on and what's the reason behind it. How his country is destroyed by one family, what dynastic rule by the concerned person, and this is so worst for any democratic nation. In this all, if you think like that, discuss like that, this is a really worst situation for any democratic country. So we can understand the situation, how it is going on, and how we should understand. And all uh, protest, the PM Ranil Wickremesinghe announced to resign, and protested a storm President Gotabaya House. A naval official from Sri Lanka on Saturday said President Gotabaya Rajpaksa was on board SLNS Gazabahu and will stay out in the sea until it's safe for him to return to the mainland. You have seen all the scene how the uh, swimming pool and room and all President House has been used and misused by the protesters. So this was the contingency plan that had to be activated earlier than anticipated. The official added the embattled president's whereabouts were not known after he was moved out of residence on Friday today ahead of this all protesting. His whereabouts are known as protesters have now occupied both his office and official residence. Reports have surfaced that luggage was rushed onto the Sri Lanka Navy ship Gazabahu anchored at the Colombo port. News First Channel reported on Saturday today the harbor master at Colombo port said the group boarded at SLNS Sindhura and SLNS Gazabahu left the port. It added. He said he can't provide details of manifest or about those who boarded the vessels, the channel said. Sri Lanka has suffered through months of food and fuel shortages, lengthy blackouts, and galloping inflation after running out of foreign currency to import vital goods. Huge crowds has poured into the capital for demonstration, the latest expression of unrest sparked by the island nation unprecedented economic crisis. Police had withdrawn a curfew order issued on Friday yesterday after opposition parties, rights activists, and the bar association threatened to sue the police chief. Thousands of anti-government protesters ignored the stay-home order and even forced railway authorities to operate trains to take them to Colombo for Saturday rally, officials said. Sri Lanka Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe summoned an urgent cabinet meeting to discuss the swift resolution to a potential power vacuum after President Gotabaya Rajapakse fled his official residence Saturday on 9 July. Vikram Singhe, who is the next line of succession of Rajapakse, resigns, invited political parties to join the meeting and also asked for Parliament to convene urgently to discuss the crisis, his office said in a statement. And with the all inputs, how the situation is grim now, and the police assault the protesters, media person outside Ranil Wickremesinghe residence. So one News First Channel journalist Varun Sampath and Sarasi Paris was among those brutally assaulted by the police. STF details at Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe private residence. All videos come out that terminated the pair, the Mr. 10%, the key figures in Sri Lanka embattled Rajapakse clan. Anger, Sri Lanka dire economic crisis has been simmering for months, with many laying the blame for the widespread shortages and runway inflation squarely at the feet of the ruling Rajapakse family. On Saturday, the anger boiled over with hundreds of thousands of protesters marching around residence of President Gotabaya Rajapakse, forcing him to flee under military guard just before the crowd overran the home and stormed his nearby office. While a top defense sources told, according to sources, Rajapakse is still president, other officials said his departure raised questions as to whether he intended to remain in office. We've seen emerging of protesters frolicking in the president's pool with the Rajpaksa exact whereabouts unknown. Here are profiles of some key members of his. I'm just telling you the powerful claim. One Mr. Basran Bakshi 72 took office in 2019, wielding executive power over Sri Lanka throughout. The total Rajapakse family just ruined the total status of Sri Lanka with all connivance for own personal vested interests. They destroy the nation like anything. History will never excuse them. And 2019 will the executive power of Sri Lanka throughout the COVID pandemic that analysts say helped trigger the current economic crisis. Unlike the charismatic brother Mahinda, who heads the Rajapaksa clan, was prime minister. More than 10 years he was a prime minister. So until May, Gotabaya came to power with little political experiences. Instead, he came from a military background, having the charge of army and police throughout Mahinda's presidency from 2005 to 15. In 2019, he led the brutal government crackdown and crushed the separatist LTT Tamil rebels after decades of civil war. The bloody final weeks of the conflict ended with, according to UN estimates, death of around 40,000 civilians, whereas hardened into so-called no-fire zones. They were bombed by armed forces. He denied the accusation. He was behind the death squads, have abducted and disappeared dozens of opponents in the feared white mess. Dubbed the Terminator by his own family, he is feared by foes for the short temper. And Mahinda was Rajpakse, the main hero of the culprit, we can say like that, as according to public of Sri Lanka. Uh, the head of the clan, 76% for the decade before that he was a prime minister in 2004. Mahinda was adored by Singla for this pejorative for pressing the Tamil rebels in the military defensive and in the civil war. He refused to international probe and he refused to international probe, but atrocities allegedly committed during the war. Critics say Mahinda also did little to bridge the divide with Sri Lanka Tamils after the war. The community is barred from commemorating their war dead and remain largely marginalized. During Mahinda presidency, the Sri Lanka also moved closer to China. That is the main reason to this situation. The precarious condition of Sri Lanka now, borrowing $7 billion for infrastructure projects, many of which turned into white elephants, mired into corruption. 42,000 crore has been shifted, according to reports, from the Sri Lanka to other country with this family. So this centerpiece biggest flop was the Hambantota deep sea port that had to lease to China in 2017 for 99 years of Colombo failed to keep up the debt payments for this construction. Mahinda Rajapaksa resigned as Prime Minister in May at a risk by the military after thousands of protesters stormed residence in Colombo. And one of the family member, Basil Rajpakshe, called Mr. 10%. If you recall, the Mr. Asif Ali Zardari from Pakistan, the former Prime Minister, he was also called Mr. 10%. So just I recall, nicknamed Mr. 10% in a BBC interview in reference to commission he allegedly took from the government contracts. Subsequent administration failed to prove any charges that he siphoned of millions of dollars from state coffers. All cases against him were dropped when Gotabaya became the president. In Hindi, we say chor chor mosera bhai. Baisel was the made finance minister when Gotabaya became the president, but was a jettison mid-April and president. I recall the one the film movie and Hindi, Main Azad who like that. All the criminals was going to make the ministers. And out of the door was Chamal 79, other sibling were charged of irrigation. His son Sachindra was involved in disastrous ban on chemical fertilizer import. Mahinda's eldest son Namal, 36, ran the sports ministry, has been touted a future leader before the crisis was also dropped. Rajpaksha brand, only Gotabaya left in power, Naval told him. My family was merely going through the bad patch. So we can understand. So I'll talk. It's a time of break. After break, I'll just continue this Sri Lankan story, and after that, Sankalp Yatra in Delhi. We'll come after break. And just Sri Lanka story. This is the latest one. I can tell you on the crisis. So uh, uh, just Sri Lanka PM says ready to resign at protester in president's home, but there's still facts we have to check it. Sri Lanka crisis: millions in island nation are squeezed by chronic fuel shortages, inflation that hit 54.6% in June. So Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Singhe said he will be willing to resign to make out and already resigned new unity government after the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the official residence where he moved the protesters. So this is 10 updates. I can just update you. To ensure the continuation of the government include the safety of all citizens, I accept the best recommendation of the party leaders today to make way for all party government. To felicitate this, I will resign as Prime Minister, tweeted Prime Minister Ranil Singhe on Saturday evening, today evening. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was moved to the army headquarters last night following intelligence report that situation at Saturday planned rally would go out of control. It, according to sources and government sources in Sri Lanka, to Global Governance News. On the Friday, three judges refused the police request to outlaw Saturday protest. Thousands of protesters, many of whom packed into buses, trains, and trucks from the several parts of the country to reach Colombo, surrounded the president's official residence this morning after breaking the barricades set up by the police. Several military personnel have also joined citizens as demand the resignation of President Rajapaksa. The police fired shots in the air, but unable to stop the angry crowd from surrounding the building. A witness was quoted as saying, uh, uh, according to the sources and the news, different news sources, we have told Gota over and over again to go home, but he is still clinging to power. Will not stop until he listens to us, said Sampath Pereira, 37-year-old fisherman who took on overcrowded bus from seaside from the November 45 kilometers north Colombo to join the protest. The curfew was not deterrent. In fact, it encouraged more people to get on the street to defiance. And as one of the cricketer, former cricketer Sanath Jasuria also is part of the this crowd and protest. So, according to him, he in my entire life, I've never seen the country united like this with one goal to throw out of the failed leader. The writing is now your official house wall. Please go in peace. Go home, Gota, tweeted like this. 16 MPs from Sri Lanka, Padujana Paramuna, SLPP have requested President to resign immediately. Sri Lanka is facing severe foreign exchange shortages, that's a limited supply of fuel, food, and medicine, plunging into the worst financial turmoil in 7 decades. The country has sought $3 million bailout from the International Monetary Fund to ease the dollar drought. So this is a now 1.92 billion dollar maybe, but they have to pay the $4 billion. So we can understand the balances, income and the outcome and the expenses. So this is a real scene of Sri Lanka. God only saved Sri Lanka. Whatever then this is family dynasty to destroy Sri Lanka. And I think for own interest, they should not be excused like anything by people of Sri Lanka, as I think, as I understand. And now, important news. Just I saw the video also and photographs also how the protester Hindu Sankalp March in Delhi. So this is a, uh big, I think, rally, and you can see how they you just see the rally and how it is a big one. See the video. About more than 2 lakhs people just participated in this Sankalp Yatra. BHP and other social and religious organizations are part of this uh, uh, rally, and you can see this uh, protest and the concerned member and the government, and the clear message that already sent to all: the country will run by the constitution but not the Islamic law, Sharia law. So this is in Hindu Circle organized by the British Hindu Parasite to wake the recent killings of Hindu jailer Kanhaiya and pharmacist Umesh Kole by Islamists for supporting ex-BJP spokesperson Nipur Sharma. As per report, special traffic arrangements were made on Delhi police today, and massive turnout. March with the Mandi House ended at the Jantar Mantar, and uh, just covered by the witness the massive turnout of the Hindus. The large scale mobilization signified the Hindu community will no longer remain a nude spectator to attacks by jihadist forces and resist them within the bounds of the law. During the rally, the attendees were heard singing bhajans and rode and waving the India Bharat Tiranga. And there is Baggav also present the rally and many leaders, Kapil Mishra and all. In the past few days, we have seen some people challenge the Indian constitution, issued fatwa and threat of beheading. They are announcing mounting of killing people. This marked the message to them: the country will run by Indian law, not Sharia, according to Mr. Bagga. Every time they try to run this country on Sharia, on jihad, members of Hindu community will take to the streets. If non-BJP ruled state, we have witnessed the destruction of properties, stone pelting and arson attacks. But you are not seeing that. So if you see like that, and lakhs, according to Kapil Mishra, lakhs of people are on the street today from all sections of Hindu society. The rally is the outcome of the sentiments of the people. Bharat will run on constitution, not Sharia. And as you said, when Hindus take out processions, do it peacefully. They are not armed with stones. They rally masses to jihadists, their fathers and their children. Enforcer of Sharia will be defeated. This march is manifestation of Hindu unity, as Kapil Mishra said. So there is a Alok Kumar also spoke on the occasion. The Vish Hindu Parishad uh, working president, he stated that the Hindu Sankalp March is resistance of attempts for imposing uh, 14 1,400-year-old Sharia in Bharat. This march shows the unity among all sections of Hindu society. Brotherhood will win and jihadis will be defeated. We are also raising the confidence among the Hindus to be able to defend their lives and properties in the limits of law when they come under attack from such forces. So we have seen and jihadi will defeated India as tweeted by VHP working president Alok Kumar, and Hindu majority caught in the receiving end of violence by Islamists. In much we recall the murder of Kania Lal, Islamist named Riaz Atri and Muhammad Ghaus is not an isolated incident. 7 days prior to this beheading, another Hindu man, Umesh Kole, was hacked to death for supporting Nupur Sharma. So this is things we have to see, and the common Hindu watch in silence. Several people, including TV actresses, have received death threats for the merely speaking in support of ex-BJP spokesperson. In the days leading up to the brutal murders, Islamists ransacked public property, set vehicles on fire, and brought life to standstill in several cities across Bharat. The common Hindu watched in silence while the Islamists created mayhem on the streets. Their unmatched display of street power, coupled with the silence of their moderate co-religions, have structure in the heart of every Hindu. So they should understand you are only 18 and 19%. If the 90% will come on the road, what will happen? They can understand. Whatever they are trying to do, they destroy the country atmosphere, they try to divide the country, but they will never succeed to divide the Bharat again. Whatever they have divided and taken by Pakistan and Bangladesh in the name of religion, as I think. So always be alert, be aware, and think how country is going on. So this is the news today, and see, share, subscribe our channels, and promote our restless movement of news for the news, for the real news. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.